We've always hosted lots and lots of people. Never quite so long as 6 months.
It's a long time.
So it is a long time, and I think we hadn't necessarily taken into consideration the cultural differences.
But those cultural differences weren't often talked about when Andrea signed up to the Homes for Ukraine scheme. She lives in a diverse part of Birmingham. After a week of staying there, her guest told her there were too many Muslims in the area.
We were quite shocked at how difficult she found different cultures.
She felt there were just too many Muslims.
Too many Muslims, too many people with different skin colours.
Her guest's son was enrolled into the local school, where the majority of children happened to be black and Asian.
And then to just have her complain about the demographic of the school and going, well, he can't be safe there. There's not enough white kids, essentially. The majority of my neighbours are Muslims. A lot of them are Kashmiris or Pakistanis, Indians, and they're wonderful people. And you just felt if you just would sort of give them the time, perhaps we'd come to the same conclusion.
They both agreed to end the placement. Britain is, of course, far more ethnically and religiously diverse than Ukraine. Could more be done to help the refugees who have settled here to integrate? It's a question that's been debated with each new wave of immigration over the decades.
For people who aren't from the UK, they don't realise there's lots of people that look like me here. And that can be quite like, wow, you know, I thought England was full of English people. And it is, because I'm English, but I just look very different.
Defining diversity. When this refugee support group recognised the problem, they organised this workshop for Ukrainians who have settled here.
Do you find that there are assumptions made about yourself when you walk into a room like this?
Yeah, you know, I'm a 6 foot tall black woman, so yeah, I'm sure when they came in, I could see people really clutching their handbags, but by the time we'd kind of got into it, you know, people had warmed up, there was lots more smiles, they were talking to each other, so I feel like we got it just about right.
The government told us they provide councils with £10,500 per refugee to help Ukrainians fully integrate. That funding has been halved for new arrivals. This workshop is a voluntary scheme, one of the very few in the country, and there's no specific funding for it.
And that kind of keeps happening. If you look back at, you know, previous waves of immigration, exactly the same things were said. People like, actually, it would have been really helpful to have had a bit of guidance, to understand the city, and we just don't seem to be able to fix it.
Olga arrived here in October with her son.
For us, it's rather like amazing to see so much religion, so much ethnicities.
Because I guess you're just not used to it.
Yes, of course.
What did you feel about the workshop today and what you learned?
British people, it's not only white English people, it's all people here is British. So for us, it was very important to understand it from their history.
The debate around integration often focuses on helping refugees into employment and housing. Tackling cultural integration can be trickier.
From the best area of Kiev, where I became to the worst area of the Birmingham, unfortunately.
Oksana moved here from Kiev last summer. She admits that at first, living side by side with so many different cultures made her feel afraid.
I was very afraid because it was not usually for me, and and some people just told me about so many dangerous stories.
Those stories, Oksana says, included cases about Islamic terrorism.
Lots of people here would feel very offended that you feel just because it's a mixed area, it's not safe.
I saw statistics on the police website, police, and so I saw statistics of criminals instead of it. And also I read in the internet in English when I began that this is the area from terrorism.
Oksana has now moved to a new area.
Not everybody knows each other.
The Homes for Ukraine scheme was initially set up for 6 months, but as the war continues, so too questions of relocation and resettlement, integration and adjustment.